the story I'm about to tell you guys could get me potentially arrested, and honestly, I'm not trying to get in any trouble with the FBI, the CIA, or any sort of government officials. So if you're watching this video, YouTube, understand that this story is only for educational purposes. Yes, I have to say this because I'm not trying to get in trouble. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another crazy but also embarrassing story. Now, today's story all takes place back when I was in middle school, and this was actually my grade 7 year. Now, in grade 7, I was a pretty basic kid, not gonna lie. I wasn't popular in any way, but to be honest, if there's two things I could say about my grade 7 year, was that I was a helpless romantic, and on top of that, I was addicted to video games. Like, no joke, if you asked me what I wanted in grade 7, I would probably end up saying a girlfriend and the newest next-gen console. But I remember there was this one time in my grade 7 year where I was walking around my middle school with a couple of friends of mine, and as we were walking around, there was one girl in our school that was like considered one of the popular girls, but the only reason she was popular in the first place was because she hit puberty before everyone else. So a lot of guys started to get attracted to her really easily, and she just became popular off that. As for me, don't get me wrong, when I was younger, I thought she was really hot as well. But one thing I will say was that I thought like almost every girl was hot, because if I had any interaction with any woman back when I was in grade 7, I'd probably end up falling in love with them either way, even if they just ended up spitting on my face. That actually sounds really sad. Don't quote me on that. But going on, I remember when I was walking down the hallway, one of my friends ended up pointing out that there was something going on with this girl, and all of us were confused, so we ended up walking towards her locker. And when we got there, I remember she was surrounded by a group of girls, and all of them were freaking out saying, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe you actually blew up. Oh my god, are you like a celebrity now?" And all of us were really confused because like if there was one thing I knew back in grade 7 was social media. No joke, I was addicted to watching YouTube and, you know, other social media channels like Instagram and all that stuff, which by the way, you should follow my Instagram. But I remember I was super confused on why everyone was freaking out that this girl blew up on the internet apparently. And that's when one of my guy friends ended up walking up to her saying, "Wait, what'd you blow up on?" "Oh, I blew up on this thing called Twitter." Twitter? At that moment, this is when I started to realize there was a whole new realm to the internet. Back then, I never had Twitter because, well, I was never a social media person, but now I do. And one thing I could say about Twitter is that it's a very interesting platform, because there's the good side of Twitter where it's like, you know, motivational and informational and all the good stuff that you want to have on Twitter. And then there's the absolute gooner side of Twitter, which we're not going to talk about, even though this channel is very sus. But at this moment, I ended up walking up to the group of girls and I said, "So you blew up on Twitter. What'd you do on Twitter? Like, did you make like a YouTube video or something?" "Oh no, I just posted a photo of myself and I'm getting so many comments." At that moment, she ends up pulling out her phone and she ends up showing us her Twitter. And she ended up going from having only like 10 followers and liking photos about kittens to then posting selfies of herself and having over 100K followers. Now, for this girl to have over 100,000 followers in grade 7 was ultimately the most insane thing ever. But I remember I ended up asking her another question where I was like, "Wait, so you just blew up off a picture of yourself?" "Yeah, I literally took like a selfie this morning in my bathroom and everyone's loving it." "Oh, okay, so you just blew up off selfies?" "Yeah, what's so weird about that?" Which, to be fair, at the time I couldn't say anything weird about it, because let's be real here, people blow up on the internet for the most weirdest reasons ever. Like me, I blew up on the internet for saying "Devil's Tango," so I really can't say anything. But I remember after that, I ended up just basically walking away from her, and I ended up basically pulling out my phone, and that's when I officially first downloaded Twitter. I ended up downloading the app because I wanted to know why people were liking this girl so much and seeing if I could learn anything off what she's posting so that I potentially had the chance to be famous. Because let's be real here, everyone at a young age wants to be famous. Comment down below if you want to be famous, but I know ever since I was young, I always wanted to be some sort of internet celebrity. So I ended up downloading Twitter and I went inside my classroom and I started scrolling through her Twitter feed with my friends. And all my friends were just looking over, super confused on what was going on why this girl blew up. And as I was scrolling through, all I realized was that all the selfies of her wearing either really short shorts or tight t-shirts were the selfies that blew up. And it got to the point where I started scrolling through the comments and all I saw was everyone asking the same thing. And that question was, "What's her of?" At that moment, when me and all my friends read that, we were confused on why everyone was asking for an of. Like, of what? Of cup? Of water? Of what? Like, why is everyone saying of? And you guys probably watching right now are confused on why I'm saying of instead of OF. And that's because back then when I was in grade 7, none of us knew what OF was. You gotta understand, all of was like a fairly new thing back then when I was in grade 7. So for me and my friends, all of us just read it as of instead of OF. And I remember one of my friends that always tried to be like the smart one of the group ended up saying, oh, maybe like it's like a new like trick-shotting famous like clan. What? Do you mean like FaZe clan? No, but like this is of clan. You know what I'm saying? So like it's a new clan. At that moment, all of us just looked at each other, super confused on what he was talking about. But at the same time, since he was usually pretty smart, we just ended up going with it. Anyways, days went on when this girl continued to blow up, and it got to the point where, actually, funny enough, in a span of 1 week, she ended up getting to 500,000 followers on Twitter. So I remember one day after school, when I got home, I ended up walking up to my computer and I ended up searching up on Twitter, what in the world is OF clan? Or of is what I literally searched up on Twitter. And when I did, it was the biggest mistake ever, because everything that would pop up were just women doing the devil's tango. And I started to worry, because why was this popping up? Why isn't, like, you know, other girls posting selfies, a part of this clan, showing up? Don't get me wrong, there were selfies, but all of them were very inappropriate, especially for a person my age. So I started to freak out, and it got to the point where my mom even walked into my room to drop off my laundry, and she looks over at my computer screen saying, Baba, what are you looking at? What is this? Nothing, Mom. I was looking at a new clan of women. No, Mom. It's just a girl in our school. She joined of. At that moment, my mom didn't really know anything about social media either. So she just ended up like telling me how I should just be more careful on the internet, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's true. But at the same time, like, Mom, it's a clan is what I kept telling her. And she just ended up walking away. But knowing what I just found out, I had a lot more questions to ask this girl. So the next day at school, what I ended up doing was honestly wild, because I remember at lunchtime, I ended up walking up to her in the cafeteria we had at my middle school. And I walked up to her and sat down beside her and said, yo, so like, I know you've been blowing up on social media and stuff, and I think it's really cool. I just have a question. Why is everyone asking you for an of? Do you mean OF? Yeah, like, what is it for? Oh, like, basically what it is, it's like a way for like people like to pay for my pictures. Pay to get pictures of you? But you already post them online for free. Yeah, but people want like special types of pictures. I had no idea what she was talking about until she pulled out her phone and she ended up going on this app that was very, very sus. But I didn't realize it at the time until now. I didn't notice this, but basically this girl that was back in my middle school had an OF, and she was in middle school. The most mind-blowing thing about all this is that the fact that she even blew up in the first place, being underage and basically posting photos of herself and people asking for an OF, is ultimately wild. I remember even asking her, wait, so do your parents know about this? Oh, I mean, yeah, but like they don't really check my phone that much anymore. So like they kind of do. They just knew I blew up, but they're not sure of what. Honestly, at this moment, I really did not know what to say. So I ended up just going quiet. I didn't want to say anything because let's be real here, I knew nothing about social media that much at the time when it came to at least that side of things. I want to say like at the 3-week mark, after everyone found out that she blew up on social media, I remember people started scrolling through her social media pages and saw that her pictures were getting way more too much than it already was. And I remember one day, apparently when it was lunchtime, there were a lot of old like grown men walking around the school looking for this girl, and we were all like in our school super confused on who these guys were, until one of them ended up walking up to a teacher, which was my teacher, by the way, and asking her, oh, I was just wondering, have you seen this student anywhere? I'm picking her up today. And I remember when my teacher saw the photo of this girl doing a really sus pose with school merch on, let's just say 2 weeks later, this girl ended up getting expelled from our school. But this just goes to show that you should not take really bad photos with school merch. And not only that, but you shouldn't be using social media unsupervised. It could lead to a lot of trouble. But if you guys don't believe this story is real, then fall for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.